Hello, welcome back. So it's been just over 3 months since I recorded the previous part, which is crazy. I'm not sure where the time went, but I am now back to my normal setup with my normal microphone, so I probably sound slightly different, hopefully a bit better. Fortunately, I did only edit the previous part a few days ago. I'm not sure what took me so long, but I do at least know what's going on. So we've essentially just turned about half the world against Attila, and we can see things are turning for the worse very quickly for Attila. He's losing Belgrade, he's losing this town too, and for some reason he's got another town right kind of in the middle of where the Dutch are, and that looks like it's going to go down too. So over the course of this part, I would not be at all surprised to see Attila beginning to essentially crumble away. I don't really see how he can stand up to the combined might of Poland and the Netherlands, and to a lesser extent Archipelago and Assyria, although I'm not really expecting them to get too heavily involved. Still, it's looking pretty bad for him, and it's starting to look a bit better for us. We've just finished plastics, and we're starting to really get rolling with the science. So let's start actually moving the turns along, I guess. I don't think there's too much we can do this turn. I think we're just going to move on. We're going to finish the arsenal at The Hague, and then we're going to build another research lab. And I probably will accept this. I need to have a look at my towns, actually, because I am pretty keen on keeping the growth going. And I think we need to check out what's going on with the Wheel of the King days and the resources that are currently in demand. Because growing our population at this stage is going to be absolutely key to winning. We're very much going all out for a science victory. I think this guy's coming to talk to us. Yeah, we'll accept that. He's already influential over us, so I think that's fine. I probably should have actually asked him for wine, because I think one of our towns did want wine, so that would be worth having. And we're also pretty seriously overdue for a workboat on this style of fish here, which I think has kind of escaped my notice a bit. So although I do want to build a research lab at The Hague, the rest of our towns are pretty busy, so since we can get a workboat in one turn, we're going to go for that. And for now, I'm still not sure what's going on with this. Attila has kind of had these 4 ships just chilling here for, as far as the game is concerned, probably for about a century now. And he's just not doing anything with them. But let's have a look and see how things have changed over the last turn or so. So St. Malo is bulking up a bit. It's got an aircraft to help defend it. Actually, not too much damage done. He's kind of holding out. But I don't think, given that we're playing peaceful, I don't think there's a huge amount we need to do on a typical turn. So I am going to start racing through these a bit. And with fertilizer done, we are now going to proceed to military science. That's not going to help us too much, but we'll soon be over to railroad, which will enable us to build the next wonder. Also pretty helpful because it lets us build railroads, of course, which will, I think it improves our gold income. I'm not completely sure. I know it increases maintenance on the individual tiles, definitely increases movement speed, but I assume there's some kind of financial advantage, otherwise I probably shouldn't bother. This town is now done with the workboat, so we're going to go straight on to the research lab, and I am going to start using some of these great writers and great engineers and things. Not great engineers, because we haven't got a great engineer, but these guys I'm going to start using more often. So I already mentioned I'm saving the great artists for when we start building wonders, and the great writer, it's a little bit premature to use him right now, but definitely if it's going to help us get to the next social policy from rationalism, that is going to be a big priority. A lot of our deals have ended, so we suddenly have 4 oil. No, we already had that. We suddenly have 3 horses, which we can trade away. That's definitely quite tempting. I'm not sure if Boudica's going to accept this again, but I will have a go. I'm going to do that off screen because it's not going to be particularly interesting. Just going to be repeating the same deal over and over again, and we will continue to move through the turns. So she's still actually willing to pay 2 gold per horse, even at this late stage of the game when they're kind of irrelevant. In fact, I don't think there's really anything you can use them for after cavalry. Possibly, I can't remember which comes first out of cavalry and, well, we've got the upgraded version, I think the Hussar or whatever it's called. Looks like the cavalry is the final unit that actually uses horses. I can see also that Poland has quite a few mobile SAMs, and I want to check exactly what tech that comes from, because that's going to give us a pretty clear idea of exactly where they're up to. I can't quite see. Okay, so Mobile Sam comes in at rocketry, so he's extremely far ahead. and it does look pretty bad, but if we go all out towards satellites, it does seem unlikely that we'll catch up, but we have to try it. I think that's really our only hope to win, so we're just going to have a go. We do have quite a lot of gold spare, so let's see if we can actually boost our growth a bit. So we need some silk to grow Istanbul, wine to grow Ankara, and the rest appear to be We Love the King Day for now. So let's see, we need silk, we need wine. I'm pretty sure Poland has some. Plus I think this should improve our relationship with them. So he wants the ivory. We don't really want to be giving that up because of our happiness situation. We probably can afford to give up some gold. Don't think he'll accept 6 per turn. He should accept 7, but he doesn't. Okay, so 9 gold per turn plus 11 gold as a one-off. I feel like we can probably do better than that. Let's have a look at who else has things going. So, okay, just checked every other civ on the map, and it's literally just this guy who has wine, and I don't think anyone at all actually has silk. So we're going to have to just go for this. It's a bit of a rip-off. I'm going to see if I can get away with just 9 per turn, that's fine. I'm going to keep the happiness over the extra gold. I think we're doing okay for gold right now. We're doing fine for happiness too, but definitely we're going to be able to get some use out of golden ages. So we should get a We Love the King Day in Ankara pretty soon. Ankara is already growing pretty quickly, but it's still worth doing, and we should now be good just to move on to the next turn. If we take a look at what's going on with Attila, Belgrade appears to be recovering. St. Malo appears to be fine, but Samson I think is a goner, and I'm expecting over the next few turns some of the rest of his towns will go down too. He's managed to make peace with Assyria. Theodora's plotting against me. Yeah, I'm really not scared of her. She could do some damage. She's got great war infantry, which is a little bit tougher than some of the things we fought before, but this is all still manageable. I think we could definitely hold all this off at Constantinople. We can always upgrade our crossbowmen too, so don't think we have to worry too much about that. Okay, The Hague has finished its We Love the King Day, now demands copper. I'm pretty sure a few more of them have copper, so let's see what we can do. Okay, so Boudica's trying to rip us off even more than Poland, so we're not going to go for her. 9 gold per turn to get it off Casimir. I think that's probably the best we can do. We have spent quite a lot of gold on that, but I'm assuming the extra growth is going to make a big difference. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to send this frigate in Ankara over towards Constantinople, because although I'm not too scared of Byzantium, she does have a couple of great war bombers, and this is also rather intimidating. 4 ships, well not 4 ships, but 4 planes coming over from Poland. I'm hoping they're just passing through, but definitely if these guys do declare on us, it's still very much the case that we'll probably be out of the game if it happens. It's very much an underdog story at this point. I feel like we can pull it off because the AI doesn't necessarily prioritize the victory conditions as much as a human player, but it's still very much odds against us at the moment. Okay, military science done. The Hague loves the king, so I think it's just Istanbul now, which is asking for silk. I don't think anyone actually has silk, so we're just going to leave that be. The trade route here, so plus 11 food to The Hague I think is definitely worth doing. That town very much needs the growth. And then this worker is pretty much free, so we're going to sleep him until we get railroad. 4 turns to dynamite, that should enable us to upgrade our cannons, which are not going to be amazing at this stage, but definitely going to help us defend against Byzantium if Byzantium does attack us. Byzantium doesn't currently have an enemy, as far as I'm aware, but I think we can definitely turn Poland against her with a bit of money. We do have plus 32 per turn, so I think that's definitely doable. And we'll drop our fishing boats over here, which is going to give us an extra +1 food and +1 gold in either Iconium or Ankara. I think both of them need it, but most likely Ankara needs to work it for the sake of the stock exchange and the extra gold it's going to bring, which looks like it already is the case. Okay, this is something I've forgotten about. The international games have passed. World Ideology Order, not too surprising, but that's going to be even more happiness problems for Attila. He has managed to push them back at Belgrade. I'm not sure who exactly was attacking that, but Samson is definitely a goner, and we're going to have to swap a few of our cities to start working on the international games. I'm very close to finishing the stock exchange here, so I think we leave that be, but most of these towns we're going to have to put onto the international games. So The Hague, I think, is a way off, so we'll put that one on it, and Constantinople likewise. Istanbul's only 2 turns off, and Ankara's 1 turn off the stock exchange, so I think we should leave those just to finish them off. Didn't actually check what we get for that, but will be worth a look. She wants to attack Attila too, so it could pay her to do that, but I think Attila is already pretty much doomed, and I'm hoping that the Netherlands and Poland are not going to try and make peace with him anytime soon. If they do, then I think we are kind of reaching that late stage of the game where we could potentially set... Okay, great. Could potentially set Poland on Byzantium. Because I think it's inevitable anyway, and that does potentially increase the chance that we get wiped out if he decides to attack us, but I think he legitimately does quite like us at this stage, and it's been quite a while since we went to war with him. Not too long since we went to war with the Netherlands, or the Huns, but I think Poland legitimately quite likes us, so I'm really hoping they're not going to betray us at any point. And let's see what's going on here. So I can definitely see some Dutch units moving towards Attila's lands. Still just about hanging on to his one town. He might actually survive to the end of the war, we will see. Okay, let's have a little look. So, international game situation. So we're definitely not aiming to be the highest contributor. We really don't need extra tourism, that's not going to help us. Free social policy would be great, but not realistic. So I think we're going for 720 production in total. +3 happiness is good. In fact, it'd be +6 happiness, and then one-time boost of 30 to all city-states. That's definitely going to make a big difference for us. Okay, so it's 3% done, and we've already contributed 150, so I think it's definitely possible we're going to get to the 1 medal stage. And I do wonder if we really went all out, whether we could actually complete it as number 1, but as nice as a free social policy would be, I think we do need to really start rushing up these research labs. So I'm going to resist temptation, especially if it fails. It's obviously much more important if you're going for a cultural victory, which we're definitely not. So we will just move on. Casimir's completed the Apollo program. That is very concerning. We know he's done rocketry, so I guess it's not too surprising. The question is he going to go straight for satellites? That's the big risk, because I definitely feel like I need to go for the Hubble Space Telescope. But if he does go straight to satellites, I have pretty much no chance of overtaking him, and building that at least. But we really do have no choice but to go all out on science. Okay, Istanbul's done, let's have a look. So international games, we have contributed 337 and it's 17% done. I think it does make sense to put Istanbul on this too. And I could potentially consider taking Constantinople off just for the sake of getting the research lab slightly sooner. But I think it's safer not to. So extra production going to Ankara, I think we're going to carry that on. And the Celts have denounced Poland. Okay. I might be able to use that. Attila's up to battleships now too. So we might actually be able to hold them off. But no, wow, that does actually look pretty deadly. Moving straight towards Guzana, which this time is relatively weakly defended. So I think the Netherlands is actually going to take that. Now they actually moved to the west for some reason. I'm kind of surprised by that. Maybe he's going for that one town first. No, he's captured that town. Still a pretty huge force moving towards Attila's lands here, and it's not looking too good for him. We've completed dynamite, someone stole refrigeration from us. Frankly, the fact that anyone at all is behind us in science is reassuring, if anything, so I'm not at all worried about that. And let's see, so 34% done. We've contributed 626. Yeah, I feel like we could win this, but it's just too big of a risk. If someone else is really going all out for it, we definitely can't outcompete the Polish or the Netherlands, and probably not the Celts either. So I think it's too risky, and it does kind of seem like the time to be going like high risk, high reward, but I really don't think we should. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to start working on a research lab here. And actually, yeah, we did finish the stock exchange here, so that's fine. So we're going to start working on a research lab there. We're going to carry on in this one. And we're just going to leave Istanbul working on the international games, I think. Constantinople's nearly done with the research lab too. Obviously better to get the research lab up sooner, and it doesn't make too much of a difference when we finish the international games, as long as we do get them done. So let's see actually. So this is putting in 62 production per turn, and I think the momentum on international games is picking up. So just to be absolutely safe, let's also work Constantinople on it. And I think we should be good to swap over next turn. I'm also going to have a quick check as well of our towns and their specialist situation, because we definitely want everyone to be working in the research labs and things. So we're going to move one citizen to the research lab in Istanbul, and I think that is pretty much all the science specialists we can have at this stage. So that is slowing down the growth in Istanbul quite a bit, but I think we have to accept that. We have now got fertilizer, which has improved the amount of food we get from our farms, so we're still growing a little bit. Okay, so we've successfully become friends with someone. I didn't quite catch that. Let's have a look. So interesting that a golden age has dawned, because that of course means we can get a bit of extra production for the next little while. On the other hand, 766 is the perfect place to stop, so let's not overdo it. I could go for the temple for +2 faith. Definitely should try and get to 3k overall. I'm probably going to be saving my faith for when we can build, when we can purchase great scientists, and we're doing fine for happiness, so we don't necessarily need the stadium. So I think the decision is really between starting working on research, which does effectively mean that 75% of the production goes to waste. The other option is to go for the military base, which, if we do get betrayed by someone, should enable us just to hold out slightly longer. Could even go for artillery. But the problem with artillery is it can be bombarded by the opponent's planes, so I'm not sure I want to risk that. We will go for research just for the sake of getting railroad done, although actually if it's going to be 4 turns either way, there's absolutely no point in doing that. Yeah, so that doesn't actually make a difference, so let's just play it safe, get the military base, and Constantinople can now go back to working on the research lab. And let's have a look at this actually. So, ended the turn there, but we've got a couple of extra friends from rigging elections, I think. But I think a couple of the other ones haven't actually taken us to proper friendship yet, so it's possible that someone else is trying to rig their elections at the same time. Okay, William's completed the Sydney Opera House. We've got an absolutely massive Polish navy moving through towards the Hun lands. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of exactly where William is up to. He's definitely very far ahead of us. So he's made it to ecology. In fact, he's some way past ecology. That doesn't necessarily mean too much, because we ourselves, well, we'd have to get atomic theory first, so it's definitely not going too well. And yeah, there was no way that we were going to beat Casimir to that. So it's a good thing we stopped where we did. Okay, so that's an extra +6 happiness permanently, which is great. And an extra +30 to our influence with city-states, which is all good. Now, I'm not sure if this is... I think this is kind of borderline in terms of whether we should drop this as an extra academy, I think it's called. Yeah, an extra academy, or just try and boost our way towards rocketry. I do want to get to rocketry and satellites as quick as I possibly can, and I'm not sure exactly when to pull the trigger on that. I think the ideal time to do it is just when you finish your final research lab, but at the same time, Ankara is really quite lacking when it comes to production, so I'm not sure about that one. Can get an extra +1 happiness if we go for the lighthouse here. I don't think that matters too much, and we're not going to need a hotel. So I think knowing that potentially Byzantium is planning to betray us, and she does have quite a bit of artillery, we're going to want as much kind of defense here as possible. So I think we're going to have to go for the arsenal. And with the Great Scientist, this is really borderline, but I think it's not going to be worthwhile to wait 13 turns for the research lab to be done there. And at the same time, I don't necessarily think that we want to be boosting our science before we finish that, so I'm not sure if this is perfectly efficient, but I feel like it's probably just going to be a good idea if we just go ahead and drop one final academy and make sure we're working that tile guaranteed, as yes we are. Okay, so that's a big boost to our science. We're up to +788 per turn. And any future great scientists we get, including the ones we get from finishing rationalism, which should happen relatively soon, and in fact, we're getting +142 culture per turn at the moment. Let's see. So if we trigger this guy now, we will actually finish rationalism as of next turn, so that's perfect. And we're sending production to Iconium here. I do kind of want to send production to Ankara because I think it kind of needs it. And yeah, we can see we're going to finish that in 4 turns anyway, so let's just boost Ankara, because getting the research labs up has to be the main priority at this point, and we can see that we've got loads of new friends. Let's see, so I don't think that matters too much that Poland has beaten us to be friends with some of these other guys. But we do have quite a few new friends, which is a lot of extra food in the capital. We can see that's growing a lot quicker now. I'm not going to go through all of these, but still. Okay, great, so we've... Hang on, was that Colombo that... No, yeah, so we overtook Poland as Colombo's ally, and then got overtaken again, I think in the space of the same turn. Still, we've got a lot of extra allies, which is going to be a big boost across the board. And next turn we can finally start working on that last wonder, which, although it should have gone a very long time ago, the AI just seems to not like working on it for some reason. So we're going to start working on that, definitely. I think we can only do it in The Hague because it's next to a mountain. But The Hague is about to finish Research Lab, so that could be the perfect time. Boudica declares war on Attila, that's interesting. I'm not sure how many border towns she has with him. I guess she could attack Constantia here. She probably will. And Poland is already planning to attack Theodora. So if she does decide to betray us, we should be able to protect ourselves just by setting Poland on her, because we can definitely afford to do so. Plus 99 gold per turn should definitely be enough for that. And I think one thing I'm going to do, I'm not sure what exactly is going on here. Obviously it kind of looks bad, but he's not sending them to attack us, he is going to the Huns. I will send a ship over, just to check out what's going on. Let's see actually what's been proposed at the World Congress. I don't think we really care about either of these. I could probably just use that as a bit of a bargaining chip. I'm going to accept this. Yeah, I think it's probably worth trying to just sell our vote on that one, because I really don't care either way what happens with that stuff. Poland has actually made peace with Attila, so I'm going to have to set him on someone else. He says he's planning to attack Byzantium. Apparently William is also plotting against us, okay, but he's still at war with... He is still at war with the Huns, although the Huns are doing surprisingly well at holding him off. Okay, a great musician has been born in Constantinople. This is the one type of great person that I really don't see what we can do with. I think we might as well just go ahead and create great work. It's not going to make a big difference, but it's a bit of extra culture, should help us get to the next level a little bit quicker. And then let's see, so over here we're going to start working on that wonder, which I'm still not sure how to pronounce it. I really can't be bothered to look it up. So we're going to start working on that, although it's 15 turns, and although it should have gone a long time ago, I'm pretty confident we can do it, so that should be fine. And then we're just going to start really boosting our way towards rocketry as soon as we can. And yeah, with this many turns left to go, I think it wouldn't have made much of a difference either way, what we did with our great scientist, so I think that was fine. We can now finish off rationalism, which is going to give us great scientists to purchase with faith, and it's also going to give us an extra boost to our research agreements, which is interesting because I'm not sure how many of those we actually have on the go. We get to choose a free tech, so let's see. So penicillin doesn't actually help us to get towards satellites, and so even though that seems like the best choice because we will ultimately need it, I think if we have any chance at all of getting the Hubble Space Telescope, we're going to have to prioritize that above all else. It does feel like a massive waste to spend it on flight when penicillin costs literally twice as much, but it's got to be our main priority, so I am going to go for it. It's kind of painful, but I feel like we kind of have to do it. And then we have 2,500 faith, which I believe means we should be able to buy another great scientist. Don't necessarily have to do it right now. 9 turns potentially is the right time to do it. On the other hand, let's see, what can we actually get on our way? So most of this is just different types of units, which will help us to defend, but won't necessarily help us to win the game. We do need to send Poland to attack someone else. Let's see what we can do. Okay, 9 gold per turn, and an extra 14 gold on top of that. In fact, I'm just going to try the 9 gold per turn, in order to turn him against the Netherlands once again, I think is worth doing. Yeah, that's got to be worth it just for the sake of stopping them from killing us. So yeah, that's probably for the best. We have plenty of gold still being made that we can potentially spend on things. Now, I do wonder if I should have just avoided working on the research lab altogether, so that I could just buy it, because at this point we're only 2 or 3 turns away from being able to outright buy it. But still, we're going to save the gold just in case we need to actually buy some emergency units if we get betrayed. Also, I do think it's going to be worth seeing, once Iconium finishes the research lab, just how much science we can get from a great scientist, because we don't have to use it straight after we buy it. So I think we should at least definitely consider bulbing them right now, for the sake of getting to rocketry, and to satellites that little bit sooner. While we are only 2 turns away from finishing the military base here, we do also have an extra trade slot free. We can see how much of a difference cargo ships make, so let's prioritize that. And let's just end the turn. Sydney has been captured by Poland. Okay, so he really does pretty much surround us now. I'm going to try to interpret that as a good thing, because it perhaps means that Poland at least kind of stands a chance against the Netherlands now. Still, that's slightly concerning. We should be able to turn him against Byzantium at some point, and hopefully that's going to keep us safe. So we've actually finished a couple of research agreements, and I'm now very confident. In fact, we just got a huge boost of science, and I'm sure we can get to satellites. So it should have already done this in hindsight, but yeah, let's get that first great scientist in. And I'm not sure if I can actually buy them at any other town. I'm really not sure what governs where you can and can't build these. Seems to just be Iconium for some reason. Oh, I can build one here too. Okay, so yeah, let's get a couple of those. And we might actually be able to boost our way over to satellites straight away. Can't afford to buy a great engineer. So probably going to have to rely on the Golden Age to get the Hubble Space Telescope up. Okay, let's see what happens next turn. These guys want another research agreement. I'm not sure if this is realistic, if this is actually going to go through or not, but I can't really be bothered to do my research right now, and it's going to be, well, he's got 75k in the bank, so it's going to make a much smaller difference to him than it is to us. That's kind of difficult. We have to decide if we're still going to be going with our science when this finishes. I think it's possible that we are. I think it's something like 25-30 turns. I think it's definitely possible we're still going to be in the game at that point, so I'm going to accept. And then William wants one too, so let's go for that. And I also want to see if he actually wants this. Okay, so he really wants that. So let's see what we can do with this. I'm going to try and get as much gold as I can. How much does he actually have free? 20,000? Interesting. He's probably not going to accept too much for this. Let's see if he'll pay us 2,500. Surely not. Yeah, not even close. So he's not willing to pay too much for that. That's not surprising. I was kind of winging it a bit. Okay, let's try something like, it's usually in multiples of 70. So we're going to try 280. Because I don't mind voting for that. He does accept that. I'm not sure how much more we could have got, but honestly, that's pretty much going to pay for the research agreement on its own. I didn't really have a strong opinion on which way that vote goes, so I think that should be okay. And let's have a little look around, see what's going on. So I'm not sure who Milan is on side of. We're not their ally, but we are their friend. And I can't see too much damage being done in the war otherwise. I think that the Huns are still at war with the Dutch too. But it doesn't look like too many cities are actually going down. Okay, new turn begins. Let's see, what can we do with our scientists? So we're going to try and boost our way all the way through to satellites. I feel like we could probably just about do this. Let's see, so first things first, in this town we're going to go for... What I want to do is, we do have a new workboat now, or cargo ship, whatever it's called. So we're going to move the cargo ship to another town, and we're going to start feeding production into Istanbul. Because we're not actually going to be able to get a great engineer to finish that wonder off with. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to try and get another Golden Age and just keep the Golden Ages going until we can finish off that wonder. Okay, so it looks like we can do Iconium to Istanbul with production. So let's change the home city to Iconium. Let's put the production on... I'm not exactly sure what we should do in this town now. There's not an awful lot to do. I think we don't really need gold. It's kind of surprising just how well we're doing for gold now, having been... struggling with that for some time. Walls only take 2 turns, so we definitely want that. Also, if we get this wonder in this town, I didn't actually talk about what this does, but it's incredibly strong. It's, let's have a look. So +3 gold, +2 culture, and +1 happiness from every castle, which is effectively going to be every single town we have. And then on top of that, we get +7 culture, +2 happiness, and +6 gold, which will of course be multiplied by our banks and stock exchanges and things. So yeah, definitely want the walls there. And then in this town, we're going to hold back. We're going to see how far we can get with our great scientists. One thing I want to check actually, and I should definitely check this before we do this. I'm assuming this won't work, but if we check the great scientist situation, first we need to actually work on things. So I'm going to temporarily set them to work on a harbour. These guys, we could send production to Istanbul. We were actually getting a lot of our gold from Assyria, but yeah, I think we now need to change that back to sending production to Istanbul. let's see, so it's plus 5,688 per turn, and if we change these guys to work on research, surely this wouldn't make a difference. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, that would have been kind of broken if it was the case. Okay, so let's see. Can we actually make it all the way to satellites? Let's have a look. So plus 5,000 takes us straight into the next era. We get an extra spy, which is nice. Okay, so we got radar, we got the atomic era with 7 turns of rocketry, so yeah, it's not quite going to get us all the way, but it will get us pretty close. I wonder if it's worth just waiting for the next 6 turns. It might have been a little bit premature. Definitely possible we were premature. Let's check the situation in our various towns, see what's going on with great scientists and when they're next to you. So this one's not going to get one anytime soon. Neither is this one. This place is not necessarily too far off. So let's start working in the research lab. And then our other town's going to be quite some time. So next great scientist is going to be coming from Constantinople. It's going to be about 10 turns. So that's kind of awkwardly timed. I don't think that's going to help us get to satellites. If we finish this off, we can at least start working on the Apollo program, which probably is worth doing now. So yeah, let's just spend that. Still 1 turn off, but we can use that to finish off the military base. I think we might have 1 or 2 free citizens that we can send to work on research labs, so let's do it in Iconium. I think that's just about it. We can do it here in The Hague, which is slightly risky if it slows down our wonder production. But no, it's going to be 12 turns either way, so I think we should just go ahead and do that. And we've got a little bit of free production here, which we can spend on potentially going for the military base. I think I do want to go for research. We do kind of have to keep ourselves safe from Byzantium, but having established that Poland is up for attacking her, I think we should just go for this. Just try and get that science in as quickly as possible. We do have that extra spy, which I forgot to use, but there's not too much we can do with those now, so probably just going to have to put them in a city-state somewhere. Okay, Casimir's entered the information era. I'm really hoping he's not done that through satellites, because we're going to need quite a few more turns. William's made peace with Theodora. To be honest, I totally forgot those two were at war, but okay. And they don't like each other still, so it doesn't really impact too much. Okay, so what can we actually do? World Congress becomes United Nations. Okay, so we're still just agonizingly far off our next great scientist, which we really do need, because it's 11 turns. Whether we get this or not really depends on which tech the Polish got. If it's anything other than satellites, I think we could definitely do this. But satellites does come pretty quickly after rocketry, and we know that he's had rocketry for quite some time. So that's not necessarily conclusive. Okay, so Apollo program only takes 9 turns. Probably might as well just get going with that, but timing is really quite unfortunate. We do of course have the extra cargo ship though, which might slightly improve it. Yeah, so it goes down to 8 turns. I think we can definitely do this. Yeah, it really depends on what's going on with Poland. I'm not convinced we should be working on science here, it's a little bit wasteful. But there's really not too much else that's too important at this point, so probably are mostly stuck with it. Choose host. We're going to choose... I think we're going to choose the Celts. Although actually, we should probably choose someone that's going to keep us alive. And Poland is the biggest threat to us. Pretty threatened by the Netherlands too, but I am going to vote for Poland because I don't think there's any chance they're going to get the diplomatic victory. And it does make them perhaps slightly less likely to kill us. And they're definitely more capable of killing us than anyone else. Still, I think we've done enough for this part. We haven't unfortunately made it to satellites. I can't really see how best we'd do that. I don't think it would have made too much of a difference if we spent the great scientist from earlier on, just on a research boost. I think we're pretty much stuck where we are. Probably could have waited till Ankara finished, but that is all in hindsight, so we'll have to see. It's definitely possible we can get the Hubble Space Telescope. I haven't talked about what that does, but 2 free great scientists is kind of the headline. That's going to make a massive difference. Okay, jumping back in from the future, I have decided just to carry on this recording for a few more seconds just to point out two things I noticed. So the first one is the less interesting one, but let's get it out of the way, which is that we do have this free spy, which we're going to send over to, I think, Kaisel, if we're not already in there. Yeah, we're not. So we're already quite good friends with them, and they're a cultural city-state, and I think we do want to start, if possible, just trying to get our culture up a bit. There's not too much else we can do that's useful from city-states. Maybe a militaristic city-state would be good. I'm also starting to think that maybe Constantinople could be working on something else. If it's going to be 11 turns either way, then we probably just want something that's going to help us to actually survive. So fighter is definitely a decent option. Potentially battleships could work. Well, they do require oil, but still definitely very tempting. Mobile SAM, you also can't go too far wrong just because they can help block the towns, which does make it harder for the opponents to get in and attack. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, it's still 11 turns, and then the actual really interesting thing I wanted to point out is if we have a look at this, I could be wrong, but I believe that science texts do get cheaper as people research them. And it's interesting, if you have a look at the various texts here, they all cost 10,588 science, but if we look at advanced ballistics, that only costs 10,181. So that's not necessarily a great thing, because it means that he can start working on the SS boosters, if that is what he's gone for, and I'm pretty sure that is the explanation for why it's cheaper than the others. It does mean he can start going for the SS boosters, which you need, I think, 3 of them. So he is potentially going on his way to a science victory, but it doesn't look like he's got satellites yet, so we might actually stand a chance of beating him to the Hubble telescope, particularly if we trigger another Golden Age once we're done with our current one. I think we are in with a chance. But yeah, that is the end of this episode. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.